Thank you, Martina.
Okay, welcome to today's meeting of the MWPA Citizens Oversight Committee as of Wednesday, August 28th, 2024. So I've called the meeting to order, so let's begin with a roll call.
Good. Turn. Are you muted? Mm-hmm. All right, I'll do the roll call since I have it in front of me. Jenny Biggs, not here. Larry Chu.
Here.
Kingston Cole, I don't see. Jennifer Howard, I don't see. Macaulay.
Here.
Larry Minikis.
Here.
Pat Randolph.
Here.
Spencer Sias, I don't see anywhere. And Rebecca Suggs.
Here.
We do have a quorum.
Okay, does anybody have any agenda adjustments? Okay, are there any members of the public here at this point?
There's one member of the public.
There is one member of the public. Okay, so now is open time for public expression. The public is welcome to address the Citizens Oversight Committee at this time on matters not on the agenda that are within the jurisdiction of the committee. Please be advised that pursuant to government section code, etc., the committee is not permitted to discuss or take action on any matter on the agenda. Comments may be no longer than 3 minutes and should be respectful to the community. Please silence your cell phones during the meeting. Mute your microphone when not reporting out. So are there any members of the public who wish to speak?
Not at this time.
Okay, so that takes care of that. Okay, next is the executive officer's report.
And I'll be pretty brief. August was a quiet month for Marin Wildfire. We did not have any exec committee, board meeting, ops, ATC, or finance committee. So when you look at the agenda, you'll see that we didn't have any report outs for those meetings. Typically, we have a little bit of a fire season update, and fortunately, our fire season got to an early start, started burning aggressively, and we had some very devastating fires. We've slowed down, so that's the great news. The bad news is who knows what's going to happen in September, October, as we come up to it. We have had some local fires recently that prompted some very aggressive initial attacks. We had a great success story in the Ross Valley, a commercial structure fire that extended into the vegetation that burned up a hill faster than fire engines can get there. And the D-space that the resident provided saved their own house. So great success there. A fire off of Atherton was a great exercise of alerts and notifications. And there was great communication between incident command, OEM, and to get the evacuation notifications out for a limited area off of Atherton. So some good exercise processes within Marin for a couple of fires. We had one up in Marinwood that really was in the middle of the hills that had no potential threat to structures, therefore no evacuations. So with that, I'll take any questions.
Seeing none, either on the screen or in person, we will now move on to the consent calendar. The consent calendar, the public has the ability to comment or on consent items which will occur prior to the committee's discussion of the consent agenda. The committee may approve the entire consent agenda with one action. As an alternative, items on the consent agenda may be removed by any committee or staff member for separate discussion and vote. So is there anybody in the public or any members of our Oversight Committee who wish to remove any consent items? All right, seeing none, then I'm ready to entertain a motion to accept the consent calendar, which is basically the minutes of the last meeting.
Move to approve.
Is there a second?
Second. Do you need me to vote? Do you need my vote?
We need a majority of the present, not a majority of the quorum. Right. So we wouldn't need you to vote.
Okay.
All right, so now let's go ahead and do a roll call. Good question.
Jenny Biggs, Jennifer Howard, Pat Randolph.
You're muted, Pat, but I think you said aye. I can lip read. Okay.
Larry Chu.
Aye.
John Macaulay.
Aye.
Spencer CS. Kingston Cole. Larry Minikis.
Aye.
Rebecca Suggs.
Aye.
All right, so I guess you have a majority of those present, so I guess that passes, right? Okay, we move on to item 7, which is action items, which is gloriously our 2022-2023 COC annual report. I had submitted some very brief comments to Mark. Let's try to get him in before the thing was published, but we missed that timing. But it's my wording is quite brief, and I understand that Rebecca also has some comments. So I would propose that we just flip through this thing really expeditiously, page by page, and then you can fill in with where the comments are, and we can go from there. You'll see that basically in the finance section, remember we talked previously that we didn't have a finance track this time, right? We said we can rely on the audited financial statements. I've seen a draft of the financial statements, and I tied all the numbers out. It's very straightforward. You can take my word for it, or we can do it again. It's pretty straightforward, but there was one thing that maybe a lack of communications, but we do not have that 80% calculation worksheet that talks about each of the 5 zones and whether where they stand on their 80% number. That should have been included in the footnotes to the financials. Maybe you can briefly update us on where that stands.
Yeah, so within the audit, our auditor, Badawi and Associates, has not been looking at the 80% buckets. So we have requested for them to add that as an addendum, but based on John's request, we have confirmed that the numbers that are driving that table are backed by the audited numbers.
And I think it's an appropriate footnote. It's financial information which is relevant to the public, and it's also relevant to us. So presuming, not to get ahead of ourselves, but if we come to a position that we're willing to publish this document, then if you would allow, then I would just wait for the financials to come out, see that the footnote in the financials is the same as the one we have in our document, and that would be our green light to go ahead and actually publish without a further meeting, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so with that, why don't we just put it up and we can just walk through things.
Yeah, what I intend to do is do a screen share of the actual report. And then I have consolidated the comments that we've received between Rebecca and John. And as we scroll through the pages, then we can, with my recommendation is that if you guys are good with the adjustment, then we consolidate those notes, send this report back to Joanne with the comments that have been approved during your motion, and then we can say it's a completed report.
Right. Does this version you have of it now, does it contain the finance section? Or
No,
is
it does not. So
separate
we'll have to.
Right, gotcha. Okay, right.
So, and now let me pull up my document and.
Is Kingston's letter in there now?
Yes, it is.
Okay, because Kingston did have a letter.
Yep, it's in there.
Okay.
And
That was not, sorry to interrupt, it was not in the one that was with the agenda.
Yeah.
No. I've got the one with the agenda, and it does not have Kingston's report in Kingston's letter. Right?
Yeah, I don't remember seeing that.
No,
either.
it's there.
Right here.
Oh, no, it is there. I'm sorry, I apologize. It has been updated. Okay, it's there. Good. Okay, good.
So I'm sorry for those of you that are staring at the screen as I scroll quickly through this, but I will go slowly, and I'll start at the beginning and I'll go slowly again. And if I hit something that I know that was in our notes, I'll stop. But if I don't hit, if you see something that you would like to bring up, just unmute, say, hey, Mark, stop. You guys don't have to unmute, by the way. So,
I was going to say something about that.
all right. And again, the items that are read, those are just placeholders for Joanne. Once we get it finished, she'll reconcile the table of contents.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so first, in the finance section, there was a bunch of prior recommendations. I didn't update for those. Do we need to, do we as a committee believe we have to put all the prior recommendations continually into this report each year?
I don't think we need to if they've been addressed. I mean, you might want to call to attention for things that don't get resolved, which is typically how we write those things.
So do we know, because there's no words in here to deal with this question. So are there items from the prior year that have not been addressed that would want to be included in this year's report in each of the sections?
Not to my knowledge, but you're taking my word for it as the COC.
Right.
I mean, if we verify that, we can also put a simple statement that says all prior recommendations have been addressed.
Okay,
then you don't have to re-enumerate them.
yeah, right, yeah, okay, but can we, how comfortable are we to say that? I hate to have another meeting over this question, but
I think if Mark says that they've been done and it's on the record because they've talked about it at board meetings or ops meetings, we're probably okay.
are you guys okay with that?
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
fine, all right, let's do it on that basis.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's make sure that, Rebecca, are you okay with that?
Can you hear us, Rebecca? Oh, I think she's frozen.
How about Pat? Can you hear us?
Are
Wait,
we,
she
are,
just-
is it our end that's
Oh,
frozen?
no, she's
Oh, no,
not.
she's moving, okay.
She's moved.
Rebecca, can you hear us
This
all
is
right?
the Zoom world.
Yeah. Is Pat still with us?
I think I heard my name and I cannot hear anything.
Oh. That's
Too
the-
quiet or glitchy?
Rebecca, is it too quiet? I think we have a sound problem.
I have turned up my volume, not doing any good.
Rebecca, can you hear me? No.
Is there a bandwidth problem because we've got the share screen up?
Or it could be, it
The
could
fact
also
that our
be.
video's coming through clear.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is odd that we're having this issue.
We lost Pat though.
Martina is texting me that she is hearing everything fine.
Oh yeah, I could also bring it up here.
And Steve can as well.
Okay.
Thanks, Steve.
So Rebecca might be on your end?
You
I'm
have
gonna
that,
switch to
maybe
my-
message Rebecca, tell her that the sound is fine on our end to maybe restart Zoom on her end. Maybe that will solve the problem.
Do me a favor, take down the share screen for a second, just for
You
the
bet.
fun of it. Rebecca, can you hear us now?
Rebecca? No.
Hi, Pat.
Pat, are you hearing us okay?
Yes,
Okay, so it is on Rebecca's end. Yeah.
So we're trying to coordinate through some sound issues on Rebecca's side. Everyone else in attendance is hearing the meeting just fine. Did you hear the last dialogue about whether or not recommendations from the previous year were satisfactorily addressed?
you know, I had to step away for just a second because somebody was at my door, but so I did not hear that.
Yeah, so basically, we're debating as to whether we have to go reiterate what was in the prior year report. And last year was basically all prior year reports and with an update. And the suggestion has been made that as long as the items have been presented to either the board or the various commissions, that would be sufficient to not address them again in this year's report and only highlight items in the report that just were never dealt with. And Mark tells us that all of the items were dealt with from the prior year report. So
Okay,
we're,
yeah, that's fine with me.
okay, Pat, and then what about Rebecca?
Okay, I can hear you now.
Good.
Oh, good.
And were you okay with that, what we just discussed?
I have no idea what you just discussed.
Okay, let's go again. So actually, we're gonna have Pat do it. So one of the questions we had was in the prior year report, we had reiterated all the items which had been findings from prior years. And we did not do that in this current report. And Mark has confirmed with us that each of the items from the prior reports were given to and addressed by the board or the underlying committees. And on that basis, we're okay with not highlighting anything in this year's report. In the future, however, if we have a finding which is not addressed, then we would put it we would carry it forward. So that's the approach that we're taking, and we just wanted to make sure there was a concurrence on that approach.
Yeah, with the stipulation that we put a message in there somewhere, and I think it might already be in there, that says all of last year's recommendations were addressed by the board or something.
I don't think it's in the document.
But one of your comments is about cleaning up the conclusions.
Yes.
And so it could be included in the conclusions.
Okay, that's fine. So Rebecca, we can do that. So that's good.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
that's
good.
what we had already discussed here as well, so.
Yep.
Good. Okay, so we're on the same page about that. Okay, so now if it's okay, we're going to move into the financial metrics section. So you have to flip over to.
You got it.
Before you go there, are you taking little things like typos, or do you want us just to send that in?
I suggest typos, you just send me in, like should be a comma here, a space there.
Yeah,
This was
right.
bold.
Yeah, just send
If
those.
you send those to me, I'll get them to Joanne.
Okay.
Okay, so you're about to share, and basically what we did is we took Larry's excellent report from last year, and then we had Elisa update it to the current year with all the current year numbers in it. And I took the current year numbers and compared them to the draft financial statements, and they didn't in fact agree. And then I put in the beginning a thing that basically said that, you know, what follows comes from the executive officer and from the treasurer, and it's been audited by Weenie and Associates, and here are the effects. So it was an elegant way to kind of quickly cover that whole section, and I think that worked. I would take this out, see comments below for further discussion, because it's right after it. I started it, phone rang, and then
I'm taking a note right now.
Okay, fine. And then basically in each of the sections, we just have the numbers and we make it clear for the pass-through items that they are passed through. The language came directly from the financial statements. Okay, so that's how that section is put together. Are there any, oh, and we need to take the 80% table. I couldn't get it to paste because I'm not super good at that. So you will paste the 80% table in right there, right?
Correct. We'll move it from the bottom up to the top.
Well, it's not anywhere. It's, no, this is just to make it clear because we would have some confusion. Oh, it is right there. Okay, that's right. Okay.
That's right here.
Yeah, okay, that's the 80% table.
Yeah.
Okay,
So you want that table moved up?
yes. Yes. No, this is the 20%. Okay, so this is the 20%, which is the other table, which is the table for D-space and, you know, the cumulative spend differential.
Yeah.
So that's what belongs there.
Do you want both the 20% tables, both the 20% D-space and the 20%?
You could either
Local?
split them in half and put them under each of the two headings, or you could put them together. I'm ambivalent. Whatever. I you know, it's like above my pay grade to tear all those numbers apart, right? It'd probably be cleaner if you just did D-space on one line and then local in the other.
Okay.
And this is basically, you know, the statements back from them in terms of their spending level. Right?
All right.
Yep.
Okay. All right. And so any other comments on that first section?
No.
Okay, good. So now we move on. So that brings us up to page. Yeah, so then we get up to page 10, which is basically the repeat of what we said last year.
And I'll just scroll through, unless you guys want me to stop, I'm just scrolling through the preamble stuff that's basically rehashing and updating of last year's preamble stuff, the
Right.
background. And then just for clarification, so we're all on the same page when we go to vote, the stuff that says old text will be all removed,
Right.
and the financial
That we
data
just
that
talked
went
about.
will get cut and pasted in this.
Right.
But I'm bringing it up a little bit more because part of the old text was stuff on the financial policies, which is no longer
Right,
pertinent,
right.
and also the recommendations, yes or no, which we're going to wrap up into conclusion as discussed. So all
Correct.
this old text is
Right.
going away with replacement of the financial data.
Right,
And those two tables, and remove C below.
right. And then keep the goat. I really like that goat.
We'll keep the goat in there.
It makes me laugh every time I see it. Okay.
So now you want to get to page 13, because this is all the preamble stuff that was the same as last year.
Right. Okay, so starting on page 13. Oh,
Actually, page
10, you were on 10.
10?
Is where you were, John.
yeah, I was on 10, acknowledged by the board. What does that mean? Hold on a second. Oh, yeah, it's just a point. That's all right. Yeah, I don't have a comment on that.
Good afternoon, Kingston.
Good afternoon. Warm, but still good.
Okay, so now we're into core expenditures review.
Rebecca, did you have something to add in?
Mine start on page 12.
Okay.
Okay, nothing on 11 from anybody? So now we're on the 12. So what do you got on 12, Rebecca?
Yeah, so some of this is about layout and some is about content wording. I'm unclear as to why those two pictures up on the left were pulled off the web and dropped in. They don't need to be there. They're not our stuff, whereas the other pictures are our stuff. Once Kingston's settled, or if Kingston you are settled, then you know why those were dropped in. You could look on page 12 and say, here's why, or if Joanne did it because she thought there weren't pictures. Anyway, take those out. And then the heading that's underneath those two that says issues to consider for subsequent fire resilient landscaping projects, that should be something more like issues found with demonstration garden projects.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense to me.
Are we starting?
And I'm happy to reword that and send it in, Mark.
So let me insert a comment here. No, I don't want to do that. Let me just take notes.
That's exactly the problem I had.
And I'll take a second to catch Kingston up. So we've gone through all the early stuff, and then we're into the actual document right now. The only substantive decisions we've made thus far is the prior findings will not be carried forward because they've all been addressed by the board and by the various
Well, that was
subcommittees.
a question I asked Mark. Okay.
And we're going to take all those out, and we'll make such a statement at the very end.
Fine.
It says that. So
Okay.
that's where we're doing that.
All right.
And otherwise, finance is okay. The audited financial statements did not contain the 80% table,
Yes.
and it should. And the guy's back from wherever next week. So these guys have said that if I see the updated audited financial statements with those numbers, and they'll be consistent with what's in the finance section, and
Do we have a wrap?
Yes, that's what we're trying to get a wrap.
Rebecca, could you say what the label should, what that heading should say again, please?
Issues found with demonstration garden projects.
Got it.
Okay. Then if we go to the right column, same page, the Novato demonstration garden is labeled correctly. The picture below that is the San Rafael demonstration garden only. And then the rest of that label that says Firewise neighborhood home, blah, blah, blah. That label goes with the picture on the next page. So that, yeah, that first line, San Rafael demonstration garden, is for that picture underneath it.
So what we'll recommend, or what we'll tell Joanne to do is, it would be San Rafael demonstration garden picture, and then Firewise home and blah, blah, blah above that picture.
Right.
Exactly.
Okay, got it.
And I think my next ones are going to be about the local expenditure
Okay, so let's finish this section and there's a question about where we should do a conclusion. I think we should probably just have one at the end versus one in each of the three sections. Or we can do one in each of the three sections. It's either come see, come saw to me, but we need to be somewhat consistent. There is a conclusion in the second section. In the local, I believe there's a conclusion. So I think we should be consistent about that. I think the findings kind of stand on their own, and I think a negative assurance kind of conclusion at the very end would be appropriate, and then kill the interim ones. And then the other suggestion I've got is that we have recommendation numbers. I think we should, now that we put all these things together, they should sequentially continue. So in other words, the first one in local should be 6, not 1 through 5 again. Okay. And then I just got one small thing. This be 13. Yeah, there should be a, sorry, right here, there's a paragraph right before beyond.
Yep, I got that one.
Okay. So, and that's it for me on 13. Do you have anything else on 13, Rebecca?
Yes, under local,
Yeah.
I may only be,
Right there. Okay.
oh, so here's my question. We have called, in this report, we have called the attestation the thing about money being carried over and used for some other thing.
The
Like-
spending by each group, right?
Well, so back
Where do
in,
we,
back in 2020 and 2021, the attestation that we required of each of the agencies was to say, yes, we did not, yes, we are not the money that we are spending is of a higher, it's for higher level,
higher level of service, yeah.
higher level of service. That was what the attestation was for. What it looks like in this report, we are saying maybe we need the higher level of service attestation, but we're also calling it for an attestation that says expenditures are being carried over or not, or.
Yeah, and so that was one of the recommendations from the previous year report.
Exactly, right.
So we have the attestation that it's a higher level of service in the work plan itself. And then part of last year's COC report was requesting an attestation from the member agencies that local and D-space monies would be held in reserve only for Marin Wildfire related activities. So that's what this attestation is referring to. So
Okay.
You're essentially getting 2 attestations each year.
Exactly.
So do we want to, if we're going to call them both attestations, can we say them, can we say it differently here so that it's clear that there are 2 different kinds of attestations being done
I think
and
we want a
requested?
single one.
Now we're getting kind of wordsmithy, a single one with 2 elements to it, or,
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
you would, if I were the responding agency, I would just want to respond to everything all in one attestation.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm thinking.
well, why don't
One
we do it this way?
attestation, but you can,
I mean, all we're doing is adding,
Yeah, so why don't we do it this way? Under overall review findings, keep the first paragraph the same. And then when you go down to the end there, it says the COC also is also inquired as to whether files and records of each member agency provide adequate evidence that each local project achieves a higher level of service. Why don't we get the word also attest there? Because now we're saying we have an attestation which has 2 components to it. To be responsive, that's a good point, Rebecca.
great, makes me
Show me
happy.
where you're at.
Bottom of 14, because it's right before we have the yes/no table, right? So under recommendation 3, then it says, The COC also inquired as to whether the files and records of each member agency provide adequate evidence that each local project achieved a higher level of service as required by the tax measure and JP agreement. MWPA has provided the following record of compliance. So why don't we just get the word, the COC also inquired as to whether files and records provide an attestation that there is adequate evidence.
So then,
Station. Got it.
so then staff,
Are you good with that? That's good.
You should turn it up a little bit, her voice.
We've tried that 3 times.
It may be hers.
Rebecca,
then
can you get as close to the microphone as possible? It's hard to hear you.
yep.
That's way better.
That's way better.
Okay. Thanks.
So then staff will be collecting that info. And then it will become an attestation, or all the agencies will be submitting 2 different kinds of information. We don't really care, as long as it all comes in to the report as one column checked off that says, yep, we did all this.
Well, just to be clear about it, we're also suggesting that MWPA has an obligation to obtain evidence about current level of service, right? So it's a combination of, yes, they attest that it's a high level of service, and also that MWPA can do diligence on that to confirm that this is indeed a higher level of service. So to be like, we're real clear about it. Mill Valley has for years put in, I think it's 400K, something like that, number like that, in veg control. And if they start putting the budget item in for 400K of veg control, you got to go, wait a minute. Does that mean 400 plus 400 is 800, or is it just, did you just take our money and spend it on something else?
Got
So
it.
there's both an attestation requirement and an obligation on these guys' part, like that, everything, to make sure that it's up and up, right? So
Perfect.
good. We all good with that? Okay. Okay.
Do we need to go back to 13, or are we done with page 13?
I think we're otherwise done with 13. I
Okay.
think I have one other thing on 14.
Okay, what's that?
It says in that bold, refer to the table in Appendix A.
Correct?
That will no longer be in Appendix A. It will be in the finance section.
Okay.
So just refer to the finance section.
Page 14.
Yeah, I mean, you can label the table as table 1 or something
Yeah.
and say. refer
With
to
table number.
1.
That's good, even better. Okay.
Got it.
Okay.
Pat, I see your hand up.
Yeah, throughout, and this is really wordsmithing, but I want to bring it up. There's some inconsistencies, particularly in what gets capitalized and what doesn't. And I can take that all up with somebody. We don't need to spend our time on it now, but I want to acknowledge that if you're going to capitalize the word core, then you need to capitalize the words local and defensive space. And there are a few other things, like board should probably be capitalized, because the board is a very specific thing.
Just send to me.
What?
Send to me, I'm on the committee, so
Okay,
we'll take it up.
Good. Okay. Okay, so we are now on to page 15, I believe. Any further comments on 15? Now we're on to 16. So again, the recommendations will become, numerically sequential, yeah. Because I don't want to lose the ones back here, right? Because they could be lost, Okay. Okay, now we're up to Novato, page 16, now page 17. Stop me if I'm going too fast.
okay, on page 17,
Yeah,
there, for the town of Ross, there's a repeat of 2 and 3 say exactly the same thing.
Oh, right, 2 and 3, right. Good catch.
yeah, that's true. Oh, yeah, that's right, yeah. We really wanted to emphasize that. Yeah. That's right, yeah. That's right.
Twice, yeah.
Yeah, that is correct, yeah. Right, because it's the underlying database is just plain ass wrong, it was the problem, right?
Well, and it's too, I'll address this in the
Finding the
in the
response.
findings.
Yeah.
It ended up being, I made a cut and paste error when I sent you the table.
Okay.
But I'm not gonna ask you to change the language right now.
Okay, yeah, if you told us a month ago, we probably would have, okay.
You're right, and that's why I'm not asking you to do that.
Okay, all right. Anything else through 17? Okay, so now we go on to page 18, conclusion based on review of individual agencies. These are, I mean, what we said was from the individual agencies, you can, you know, interpret that it's also true of the whole 17. So maybe, I don't want to use the word conclusion because we only want to have one conclusion on the end. So would we just make it comment? Because there's no finding numbers here. Maybe just change it to comment and leave it? Because I think it's relevant.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Okay,
Are you just gonna change the word conclusions to comments?
yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Just
You
gonna
don't like
change.
that? You don't like that? Conclusions?
Well, we're talking about having conclusions only at the end. We're trying to just do it once.
Right.
And therefore, we don't want to, this is not, we decided earlier, we're not going to put conclusions in each of the three.
Right, yeah, I understand that.
Right, so,
Final conclusions?
I know.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah,
You're
just call
fine.
it comments based on review of individual agencies.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, thank you.
And if you say final conclusions, you're gonna get both Pat and me up on the table.
Just kidding.
Okay,
Or you
sounds
say
good.
further comments.
Okay, and so now we get down to, obviously, we get a drafting error because the
D-spaces.
D-space had become an appendix.
Thank you.
That would hurt my feelings if that was me. So I assume the D-space will be elevated to be
Yes.
another whole section.
Yes.
And capitalized and
All
bold,
that stuff.
full
Right.
print or whatever we did.
Okay, and so this stuff here, this appendix A stuff, that's the stuff which is back up in the finance section. It's gonna go up into the finance section.
Mhm.
So it goes away here, it goes up into finance.
It's those tables that go up.
Right, there's that one and the 80% one. Okay. Okay, so now we get into the D space and home hardening, the outstanding D space and home hardening inspection review. So we're bottom of 19 and moving on to page 20. Are there comments on 19 or 20?
Let's not get carried away, that's about it.
Okay, now we're moving on to 21.
That's all still part of that, right?
Yeah. Okay, so are we good? Now we get to our conclusion.
There we go.
Okay, so, okay, funds were managed and spent appropriately. I'm not sure we can really make that statement because we had enough data incorrectness between the underlying documents and the audited numbers. I'm not sure how we can make that statement. I'd rather stick with a negative assertion.
What if you said, other than as noted above?
You could do that, except as noted above. I guess that's okay.
Are we, what I'm thinking is, isn't it a lot more right than it is wrong?
Yeah,
No, I get your point.
yeah,
I'm good with that.
yeah,
Is there any further, you good with that?
that's fine.
I'm okay.
Okay, that's good, Rebecca, thank you. Okay, so I think we've all done that. And obviously, next year, we want to be able to say something much stronger because we'll get these last few things fixed and we'll be in ducky condition, right?
Your
Okay.
lips to God's ears.
Yeah,
Funds were managed and spent appropriately except where noted above.
I would probably start with except as noted above, except where noted above. Except where noted above, funds were managed and spent appropriately. And there's a period there.
Now I got a technical question for John.
Yeah.
Okay. When you file a tax return, if your fiscal year ends on June 30th, 2023,
Yeah.
that's fiscal year 22. Okay, but we make reference in some places in the document where it's 22, 23, and it makes it very clear
Our records have been, we've been calling the fiscal year in which it ends.
where it ends.
Yes.
Okay, that, I mean, in order to remove that ambiguity, depending on how people read that, should we just make it all fiscal 22, 23?
I think that's a lot clearer personally.
That's good. And obviously you're making the point 2021 needs to be updated. Yes. Okay.
I have one additional thought. This is just cosmetics, but, and then again, I'm borrowing from TAM, but I would like to see maybe at the back end, what they do at TAM is they have a map, a fold-out map that comes out of the back of the thing.
Ooh, expensive.
I know, no, we just do one page. And it basically shows a map of the county, and in this case, we would have the shaded fuel breaks. It would show where they are,
Oh,
all right, throughout the county. Maybe it's small now this year, but it's a thing, we'll keep track of it year after year.
oh, that's a good idea.
It's just a nice graphic presentation, just a backsplash page.
Is there anything like that in the regular MWPA annual
You got
report?
anything? Or do you want to just steal that?
No, we have in a couple of different spots, but what we're, where we have the shape files of our projects, whether it's in the evacuation, ingress, egress risk assessment, we have that. But we're also working on a project tracking webpage, which we're just, sorry about that, John.
Sure.
We're just about to launch that. So
Okay.
my recommendation, once we launch that, to use graphics from that. I don't know if it will be done by when you guys want to publish.
You can't just throw something together?
Josh, it could be, what are the maps you're putting together for Amber Stump?
We were going to rely on all the data collection from the web map that was soon to be available to the public.
How about we do it this way? If it can be done expeditiously and not delay our publication, I would suggest that he's got a great idea and we should follow it. As long as there's a goat in the book, in the thing, I'm good.
But
We'll put the
eventually,
goat on the
well, the
cover.
reason it goes to the book is because it will change the
No, I get
next
it.
year.
Yeah, sure.
Every
Yeah.
year would add on to it.
Right.
And at some point, the board of directors will probably steal the idea for themselves and put it on their end. Which is also fine.
And it'll be in the campaign in 5 years.
They're gonna, well, the campaign better be in 2026.
Yeah, right.
I should add, Panorama is also compiling individual zone maps that are up to date.
It's gonna be crowded in 2026, I gotta tell you.
Everything's, yeah. Okay, so at this juncture, we have open our editorial comments that Mark has captured. We have to wait for the CPA to come back and agree and to put that other table in the audited financial statement so that this all links together. If they're unwilling to do that, then we're gonna have another meeting, right?
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, right?
Maps coming closer to
Yeah,
fruition.
exactly. So let's presume that will go off okay.
All right.
So with those elements, is there a willingness on our part to proceed? Oh, the other thing was we need to put a statement in the all prior comments have been dealt with. Forgot that one. Right?
I got some typos for the patents, I mean, that's it, but it's irrelevant
Okay.
to this.
So with that, we're being where we are, is there a willingness for somebody to put a motion forward to approve the publication of this document?
I wildly submit a recommendation we do so.
None of us even had a chance to speak up. I mean, case was definitely gonna jump on.
Just me running that-
Pat does have her hand up.
Okay, I so move.
I was gonna say, was that a motion?
I know.
You said recommendation.
I was just playing with you, it's all right.
Yeah, I can see it, but you can't. But Pat, go ahead.
I would be willing to stipulate that we are ready to go ahead if we can stipulate this very last page, on page 22 that we're looking at, core, local, and if you look at the bullets, they're done correctly too. Some places earlier. Go back to page 12.
Pat, you're kind of getting sketchy there.
What?
You're breaking up a little bit, but we're still with you.
Okay,
It looks like you're losing your whole internet then.
If the point is about caps and all that, we get it and think that it's warranted to fix.
Dashes versus bullet points, is that what you're saying, Pat?
or even if you use dashes, they,
Yeah, we used dashes on
on
page.
page,
I'm trying to stop the screen share and see if that helps with.
so on page 13, see what the bullets look like as opposed,
Oh, you're looking at the justification on the dashes.
you,
there's no
if you look at
justification.
on page 13 is,
Pat, I think what we're gonna have you do is submit that to Kingston
Yeah.
as part of your edits.
okay,
and-
yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, but I think I know what she's referring to.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, the justification on the dashes include the dash on the left side, whereas on the bullets, it doesn't.
Okay.
All right,
The bullet.
Yeah, well, we want to make it better, so
Okay.
that's fine. Yeah.
we'll figure that out.
Right here, you can, this is a perfect spot where you see just the
Okay, I think we got it. Okay.
And those dashes don't have to be dashes. They can be bullets.
okay.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, it's spell check when we need it. It's good.
Okay, so we made a motion, and has there been a second?
I'll second.
Okay, and let's go ahead and do a roll call and take a vote. Pat, you still with us?
yes.
Good, okay. Oh, yeah, screen's up, okay.
Pat Randolph.
Do we
Still hasn't made up her mind.
Pat, are you there?
Yes, can you not hear me?
We hear you now.
Okay,
Is that an aye?
She has a bad connection. Do it again, Pat.
aye.
There you go.
There it
All
is.
right.
Larry Chu,
Aye.
John McCauley,
Aye.
Larry Minnicus,
Aye.
Rebecca Sykes.
Hi.
Kingston Cole.
Oh, Kingston Cole, sorry.
Aye.
I was not here
All
originally.
right, all right.
Can't make a motion on that.
You came in at 3:23.
Yeah, right.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
All right, so that hopefully puts us to bed. So now we're going to move on to item B, which is creating new ad hoc subcommittees for the 23-24 report and establishing a timeline. So, where's my little thing? Okay, where to go here? So,
What's the absolute worst assignment? And we should put Jenny, Jennifer, Spencer, Kingston, you probably don't have to do it. So Jenny, Jennifer, and Spencer on whatever the worst thing to do is.
You get their attention and Joanne?
Well, depending on how you view worst, I mean,
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
the local stuff is probably the most complicated.
so to be serious, Jennifer corresponded with me directly that said that she would be interested in coming off of DSpace and onto local. And I'm happy to go on to DSpace instead of local, so we can just swap the two of us.
I was
So,
gonna say, if you want to stay on local, my term ends in December. So you have that slot anyway.
I'm fine doing something different. I mean, I think
Okay.
putting my eyes on DSpace is probably okay. And I get to work with Pat, which would be fun, assuming Pat wants to stay on DSpace. You can put your thumb up if we get on here, yeah, okay? All right.
So
I think
Pat's
we need to be,
space.
I think we need to be talking about these differently. Because we have to have brand new. They're not carryover. Right?
Explain a little further. Yeah, these are new, this is a new commission. We're starting over again.
So instead of saying you're gonna swap positions with, or you're gonna replace so-and-so, just brand new.
Okay,
Yes.
I get your point.
She's lawyering, she's lawyering.
No, I get it. That's, I understand your
I
point.
can do that. You
Um,
Yeah, okay.
we also, And hopefully we will be almost done by then. But there are 3 people.
So we have 3 terms ending. We have Larry Chu's term ending. Larry, because of timing out, will not be able to re-up. Jenny Biggs's term ends, and we have Jennifer Howard's term ends. Jennifer's in a position where she can reapply, and so is Jenny Biggs is in a position to reapply. So potentially there could be 3 new members, or there could be 2, or there could be 1.
Larry, are you gonna be a member, or are you gonna re-up?
I'm turned out.
He's finishing his 2nd term.
But are there terms?
I should do that in 3 years.
Mhm.
I had a 1-year
He had a
term.
1 year, he volunteered for 1 year.
Oh,
Smart guy.
bye. What, give you a date?
This is a public meeting, watch what you say.
I'm joking.
What, we can't go on without you, Larry. Jesus. All right.
But someone's gonna have to figure out the spreadsheets now.
Well, that's the whole point. There aren't any spreadsheets anymore. That's one reason I had a strong desire to get that on the auditor side, so.
Otherwise, we change the bylaws.
And I've already told Larry he's on my short list of people to call. But
Yeah.
So for sure, we're gonna have 1 new person next year. You could have up to 3 new people next year.
Okay.
Well, let's stop a little bit and talk about the timing of how quickly we want to get this thing done, right?
Okay.
Right? So we're in August right now, right? And, the question is, can we be done by December? Can we be done by December? So the reality is that we now have a mojo, right? We have an approach. We tightened that up. Everybody knows, no matter what commission, which are brand new, and you're not necessarily on the same commission as you were last year, but we certainly have Rebecca's smiling, but we have an approach to this activity. And frankly, what the speed with this is really left with management.
And
Right.
we have sent the requests to the member agencies that are actually already in alignment with some of your recommendations that you made in this report that's yet to be published, with the return date of September 30th. That allows us to close our books with the Finance Committee at our October Finance Committee meeting. I would love to say that you guys could meet at your October meeting and I'll have enough information for you to get started, but I can't guarantee I'm going to have every member agency. The core, we will have that wrapped up.
I was just going to say, there's sequences to each of these is different.
Yeah.
I see in one point in the future, you could do this during the year.
Yeah.
And not after the close of the year. That's how you audit corporations. So, I mean, I don't know why core couldn't start immediately.
Yeah.
So whoever ends up being on this new core.
I would recommend, just to make sure that we have a process, or we're able to follow through our process, that we have a COC meeting in October for, at a minimum, the core group to start working on their information.
At that time, you established the ad hoc committee.
Well, you can establish it today if you like.
We have disbanded the old ones.
The old ones have already been
They were-
disbanded.
Okay, that's just making sure.
Yep, we disbanded the old ones already.
Okay.
Well, see, I can continue to help with this. If something needs to be wrapped up by December, then if core can be done, then I can be on core.
Okay.
I can also work with the numbers that we have and put in the new version of the financials.
You don't have to do
Okay.
that. That's Elisa's job.
Okay.
She did it this
Yeah.
time. I mean, and literally it took me about 30 minutes to tie the numbers out.
Yeah.
That's the whole idea, the audited financial statement, which by the way is a higher level of comfort than what we did in year one when you collected all that data yourself and did those giant pivot tables and all that stuff. Now you've got a set of audited published financial statements, which have the numbers. So it's actually a higher level of thing. So there's no need for any of that. And, it's not something we should be doing anyway. So,
Yeah.
And if I remember right, Rebecca, your request was be on local this time?
Yeah.
So we have 2 people who have committed who have requested to be on local. That's Jennifer Howard and Rebecca Suggs. And not that they're my ad hoc subcommittees, but having at least one member stay for consistency purposes from one year to the next makes sense. Since Larry Chu is likely to move over to core, it makes sense for Larry Minikis to stay on local.
Right.
You good with
I have
that?
a feeling yeah, that's fine.
I guess I stay on core, right? Who else is on core?
Right
Larry,
now it's
Larry
Spencer.
Chu,
Yeah.
and John has already volunteered to go to D-Space, so that leaves you for core.
Yeah, the whole movement. All right.
Yeah. Actually, Spencer Sias was one of the other core as well.
Oh, I remember saying, he came in at the end, that's
Yeah.
right, yeah. Well, that's all right. We'll
So
be
do you
all
have too many people on
See?
core?
No, we don't,
Okay.
because we can always reassign Spencer somewhere.
So
let's
there's
keep-
there's
let's keep
three
it
groups,
core.
there's nine,
Spencer
there'll be
and core
three
right
on
for
each.
him.
Okay.
Yeah, but we
Spencer
couldn't
will
have
stay in
5 people
core.
on
Pardon me?
There were 5 names that came up, that's why I wasn't sure.
So, Kingston, where would you like to go?
Local, I don't care.
Local's full, so it would be D-Space or core.
So how many, who's on,
Core?
who's
Yeah.
on D-Space right now?
D-Space is Pat Randolph and John McCauley,
So we need one more person on D-Space.
between Kingston and
So I'll stay
Jenny.
on core.
Sorry, between Kingston and Jenny?
Mhm.
Okay. So you'll stand core, so Jenny goes on
D-Space.
D-Space.
Got it.
Okay. Okay, so do we now, is that all balanced out?
It is, and for the record, I could read them off for you guys.
Please do that once.
Okay, on the core, we have Larry Chu, Kingston Cole, Spencer Sias. On D-Space, we have Jenny Biggs, John McCauley, and Pat Randolph. And on local, we have Jennifer Howard, Larry Minikis, and Rebecca Suggs.
Okay. That seemed like it makes sense. There's enough carryover and there's enough newness. So you get different
Yeah.
eyes in each of the groups, so,
Okay.
all right. So would somebody make a motion?
Okay, move to accept those committee assignments for 2024 or fiscal 2023.
That's funny. Okay, is there a second?
Never gonna stop, is it?
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Good for you.
Okay.
Larry and Larry, okay.
Wait, Larry.
Larry squared. We're
Okay.
not gonna have Larry squared anymore.
Pat Randolph,
Right.
I,
Larry Chu,
Aye.
John McCauley,
All right,
Kingston Cole,
Aye.
Larry Minikis,
Aye.
Rebecca Suggs.
okay, so the second half of that question is when do we next meet, right? So, it seems to me that we want to not meet in September and then go ahead and meet in October. Does that make sense?
Sure.
Okay, with the
Now, what's
goal,
that- What's that mean about the report that we've accepted it? Somebody's gonna do an eyeball, it's okay, and let it go.
correct.
Okay, great. So
Right,
we don't have to,
Right, we don't have another meeting on it's done, you know, it's just baked as long as you don't screw up the typing on it, and you know, your Kingston's gonna look at it, if you don't mind, maybe I'll just do
Yeah,
a quick
I'm
flip
just, I'm
through
gonna
it.
take Pat's stuff.
I can make a quick flip through it,
I would appreciate it.
okay, and then bada bing, bada boom, right? Okay.
clear.
All right, so you guys good, no September, then we meet in October, and we're setting a absolute firm, hard goal to be done by December, which hopefully we'll meet.
And I'll
All
I'll put pressure on our member agencies.
Well, you have a thing that called the checkbook,
I do.
okay? And we
Now-
make it real clear that it was not a soft recommendation from our perspective. What we're saying is we want teeth.
Problem is, the first check is in January.
Nonetheless, it is still a check.
I know.
right?
But if my point is, if your deadline is December, they don't feel the pain till January.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, we may also have attendance problems in December if people are taking off for the holidays and things.
That's true too.
Pat's got her hand raised.
When do the new members come on?
January.
Okay.
Well, we get as close as we get.
Pat?
Did Pat freeze
And-
up?
Pat has promptly forgotten what she was going to ask, so give me a.
Now, could the committees start to meet if they, like core, for example, could they, should,
Yeah,
I see no reason why you shouldn't or can't.
I'll go find Spencer, we'll have a meeting.
He's in Alaska, I think.
Is it what?
I think he's in Alaska right
Was he
now.
in Alaska? He was in some places a really good excuse. I
Yeah.
forget where he said he was.
He's a good writer, so we know, as soon as we round him up, we'll get going, all right?
Okay.
Yeah, that had been my question of when were committees going to meet as opposed to when are we going to all get together again?
And I think the committees can decide that on their own concurrent with the management being ready for them. right?
Yes, okay.
Because as, you know, when we did local, we just, you know, met, right, on the days it worked. We
Right.
Get everybody, so.
Right.
Okay,
All right.
all right, does that cover that topic? Are we comfortable with, we have an idea what we're gonna do? We're gonna
Yeah.
not meet September, but the minutes will reflect all the new people, and when they're ready, they get started, and then we'll meet in October and see where we are. And, you know, if we don't get it done by December, it will be a little difficult because you're bringing new people in, but yeah, I think we should try really hard to be done by December. Yeah, okay. Right, so I think that is, oh, next item is committee members' request for, regarding future agenda items. By the way, is there anybody in the public on? Oops,
One member. One of
We
my,
have a-
one of our employees.
Yeah.
that's an employee?
Yeah.
Okay, they're here as an employee, not as a member of the public, okay. All right, good. Okay, so there's one item left, item number 9. If anybody want to make a statement about item number 9?
Hey,
Can we keep going?
Committee member assignment or
Oh, you're right, there wasn't any.
First.
Future agenda items, okay, yeah.
I don't know if there's a future agenda item, but I have a comment only because I've been asked probably by at least 3 board members what type of skills you need to be on this committee. And a lot of it's finance, obviously. I'm coming off, and there was a huge quality of life difference when John came on, you know, for me in terms of,
Yeah,
yeah.
for sure.
So, you know, you got 4 months basically to recruit if that's what you want to do. And, you know, do so with an eye for somebody who does have a financial background.
Yeah,
Good idea.
good idea. That's right.
It
Good thought.
has a financial background. So
Are you cutting in and out, Pat?
oh, okay, I saying the,
Pat, why don't you try turning off your video?
okay,
Yeah, her video's frozen too.
Yeah, well, there you go.
I will.
There you go,
Yeah,
now we can
now it
hear you,
sounds a
go
lot
ahead and
better.
speak. Pat.
Okay.
Go
Well,
ahead.
what I was going to say is that I think Larry Chu or the and you all froze.
Oh, yeah, and we missed all your comments.
One more time, Pat?
Is the Central Marin representative, right?
It could be, I mean, if it turns out that you end up with 2 of the people who are coming or up for a second term, that, you know, you have somebody else who may be interested and qualified to be there, they might shift somebody over to Central Marin if that, or Ross Valley, if, you know, that person lives in our district.
Yeah, okay.
You know, I guess there's some flexibility
Mhm.
there.
It could be any of the positions.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So now that brings us to agenda item number 9.
John's favorite.
So move.
Okay.
Wait, there has to be a motion. You can't just.
Actually,
You don't have to.
did.
you
No,
just-
that's-
Oh, I forgot to bring my gavel. One of these days I'll bring my gavel.
I'll bring you a.
I got a collection of, I got like 5 of them.
No, I'll bring you a drip torch. Just bring a small drip torch.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Okay, is that it? We're adjourned?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right, good. Congratulations. We got this thing out the door.
Good job, everyone.
Take care, everybody.
Good.
Bye.
4, not 10 after 4, not bad. Okay.
Well, and one thing I meant to put in my executive officer's report, but not huge. We have 7 out of the 8, or 7 so far, member agencies have approved the JPA revisions. We have number 8 voting on it tonight. And we're on a pretty good path to have those wrapped up probably by the end of September into October, somewhere around
That's
there.
good. Yeah. Any pushback?
None.
Yeah, I wouldn't think so. You never know.
Well, the big one is the willingness to not just walk past the East Bay and local and actually take responsibility for the board level. That's not a
Yeah.
small thing, right? And I noticed in the beginning of the document, we made it clear that they just walk by it, and then later we say, don't walk by it. So,
Right.
which I think is the right way to do it.
I would have expected, based on the discussions that happened when the MWPA was forming, I would have expected some pushback or at least some discussion about that issue.
Not in the,
Oh, you're not.
So that's great. Interesting.
Are we still recording?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Martina, hit the end record, please.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.